All right, good day, family. Good evening, whenever you're watching this. I hope you guys had a wonderful day. Welcome to another live broadcast. We're so glad that you're here. We're just going to give people about a minute or so to get on, and then we're going to go ahead and get things started, okay? A lot to cover this tonight, so just get ready. No, I'm just going to go. All right, we're going to give it about another minute, and we'll get started. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So glad to see everybody here this evening. Listen, I'm getting used to this time change, man. It's you know, for us out where we are right now, it is 5:34 p.m. at the time of this live broadcast. But for my friends and family on the East Coast, well, it's 8:34. So I have no idea of what time, some of y'all be tapping out at night in the evening. So I'm trying to be very, sensitive to that, so, but it's almost impractical for me to go live earlier, so I'm really trying to figure this out and see how we're going to do this here. So, but anyway, we are here right now. So stop talking and get into it. Right. Anyway, let me see. I got people in the chat. We got, let's go, Joan in the house. We got Drum of Praise in the house. We got Isaiah in the house. We got Calculated Crescendo and others, many more that are coming in as well. So we're going to be getting into it today. But first, let me bring this up here. Just let y'all know again, we sent an email out. This is for our Samba Tree friends and family here. I'm just going to touch on this very quickly here. We just brought back the sheets, the cotton sheets, and I'll just go through this real quick. And people have been jumping on this, man. I'll just go through it. While we sleep, the body is hard at work, repairing itself, flushing out stress and toxins so we can function better the next day. And then we got here, what happens when you sleep? And there's a whole chart here that goes through all the different things. Like there's muscle repair, your metabolism is regulated, maintain better mental health and physical health. There are literally all kinds of things that are taking place while you sleep. But what happens is, when you sleep on synthetic fibers, right? Like polyester, I know they feel good, right? You got that blanket from XYZ store from, Big Lots or whatever, and it's the print of a zebra. It's 100%, raccoon fur or something like that. And you're like, oh man, this feels good. But you look at the tag and it says it's polyester. And you think, oh, but this ain't feel so good. But anyway, it may feel good, but what happens is, let's read on. It says, did you know that sleeping on synthetic fibers like rayon and polyester can impact your wellness? Synthetic bed sheets are full of chemicals that put more pressure on the body when it's trying to do its nighttime work. We did a whole video on this talking about this. It says, get rid of those rayon, polyester, and synthetic fiber bed sheets that fight against your body's natural frequency and disrupt your natural sleeping process. And so we were able to get our hands on some certified 100% cotton bed sheets, because no, we don't need to be sleeping on some man-made nonsense. We don't need to be on that. We need to be sleeping on the real. All right. These super soft bed sheets are certified organic, non-GMO, 100% cotton to give you a clean and healthy night of sleep. And it's free from any kind of harmful chemicals. These sheets carry GOTS certified, and that's a certification, whatever, Global Organic Textile Standard certification for organic textiles. And it's 100% Turkish cotton made from natural dyes. So for those of you who got some issues with the, certain dyes and all that, these are natural dyes. And it's a 6-piece sheet set. It includes 1 fitted sheet, 1 flat sheet, and 4 pillowcases, and a 300 thread count. All right. And then they use the WellFit technology with deep pocketed and elastic size corners to help your sheets stay put throughout the night. And is available in multiple flavors, if you will. It's spring mint, rustic leaves, earthy branches, and crisp white. All right. And so here we go. And then we got the price comparison. This is what it is on, I guess it look like Amazon or something like that. But this is what we're selling it at. Look at the price that we're selling it at. So you're getting a huge deal by buying it right from us here. So anyway, head on over to sambatree.com. When you go to the website, as soon as you get to the website, it's going to be bam right there at the front. And then you go ahead and pick you up some and have yourself a good night's sleep. Okay. So I just wanted to plug that in before we go in and get started. All right. There we go. And let's get started. Let's go ahead and get in. Again, big shout out to everybody that's coming in and getting in the house. Make sure you grab your seat, grab you something to sit down on, and let's go ahead and get started. Man, we got a lot to talk about. This week has been, this has been some kind of, every week, I tell you, it's been really something. It's been really something, man. Listen, I'm glad I ain't got a Tesla, because I would have been in jail. I don't know about y'all. I would have been in jail. You come to, and I personally, would I ever get a Tesla? No, not necessarily. I wouldn't get any kind of electric car. I just, I think we did a video on that, talking about that as well. The amount of radiation that emits from these cars. I just wouldn't, I just want, plus I don't want to be in a situation where all of a sudden someone gets an idea like, okay, let's remote control all these cars. They actually rehearsed a scenario on that too. There was an organization they were going through before it was in the movie, that Obama movie. They actually, true. We actually talked about this. Oh man, it was a couple of years ago. We did a video on this where they went through a scenario where the networks that these electric cars are on was hacked. And then all of a sudden you got cars just going every which way. So, no, I wouldn't do it. And I'm gonna tell you, living out here in the Phoenix area, there are so many Tesla cars out here, Teslas specifically, but then you got the other ones as well that, people, the electric cars and all of that. And then you got electric bikes. Now, electric bike I might do. I'm really, a lot of people do that. And those are really cool. Like if some of the terrain that's out here, it would be really helpful to have an electric bike, let me tell you. So I might do that, end up doing that. But the cars, they cool, but it ain't my thing. That's just me. If you got one, good for you. But let me tell you something. If I did have one, if I did have one and I caught somebody going near my car and it wouldn't. It just wouldn't. It wouldn't. You know me. I've already rehearsed the scenario. Y'all, in my mind. I literally, and don't look at me like that, because I know y'all do it too. You be rehearsing scenarios in your mind, be like, now if that were to happen, now how would I do this? I mean, you going through every swing, you going to pick them up, and then how you going to knee them, and then you going to put their teeth on the curb and hit them up. See, don't get me started. I think these things through a little bit too much. Too many movies. I got to get that out. Okay. But yeah, I mean, have you seen some of these people? Let me put it up here. It's some of the people. And it ain't, like I said in the post, don't blame the children now. This ain't kids doing this. These are old folks These are old folks out here scratching up cars. And I'm sitting up here like, you look whole stupid doing that. You ever heard of Whole Foods? These are whole stupid folk. Old as you is and you scratching up cars? And you know, I said, these people got to be getting paid. They got to be getting paid. Because you don't even hear children doing this kind of stuff. Teenagers ain't doing this stuff. They ain't doing this. It's old folks out here. They mad because Kamala lost. They mad and they got to take it out on somebody. I'm just so mad. I'm going to scratch up a car tonight. What? And just scratching it up. And then this dude here on the top right-hand corner, this old dude right here, it's a video when they caught him, and he was acting like, what are you talking about here? And these dummies, listen, if you're thinking about scratching up a Tesla car, please note that Tesla cars have cameras all around them. And if you even brush against it, it's all the cameras are on. They already on. They got you. They got your face and everything. That's one of the selling points of the car is that that's the kind of security got. So if you even think about doing this, they already got you. So you got these grandmas and grandpas out here scratching up cars. I'll tell you, my bingo card has been on fire since Trump got elected. It's literally been on fire because I didn't have any of these things. I didn't have any of these things on my. Look, I'm at the bingo thing. I'm just throwing it in the air. I'm just like, I give up. At a certain point, it's like, you know what? Screw it. Teach me checkers or something like that, because this bingo ain't working no more. It just ain't working no more. I mean, who would have imagined? I mean, seriously, who would imagine in 2025 you would have people, grandmas, grandpas out here scratching up cars because they mad? Who would imagine that? I'm sorry, we ain't letting this go. This ain't normal, y'all. And for those of you who are younger, listen, all older folk don't act like this, okay? So no, it ain't that at all. No, it ain't. This ain't all older folk, but it's a special class of. Just because you old don't mean that you wise. It doesn't mean that you really smart. It really doesn't. It doesn't mean that at all. I just want to let you know it doesn't mean that. So there was a time when people would say, you got to respect your elders. I would never tell people that. I would never tell people that. Not in this day and age. I said, what do you mean by that? So you saying the disrespect? See, that's that binary thinking again. I'm not saying just go the other way and disrespect all older people. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is I give respect until you give me a reason not to. How about that? But if you older than me and you acting like some little brat, some child, I'm not going to be like, well, Mr. So-and-so. I'm going to be like, man, get out of my face, bro. Get out of my face. And then if they want to try to pull that age card, well, don't you know I'm your no, you're not. Oh, you're not acting like that. Sir, you're not acting. No, you are not an example that I want to follow. And yes, I will be calling the cops on you. And these folks will get on. They will get used. I'm trying to process this, y'all. That's me trying to process this stuff. Who would have thought in 2025 you would have grandmas and grandpas scratching up cars, right? And then putting it on TikTok. I mean, I'm trying to put this together. I'm like, what is you? What is you doing? But this is where people are. It's just, we're in an age where folks they just not using their brain. They don't want to use it. They are electing not to use their brain. And that's going to be the main theme on this first part of what we're going to be talking about tonight is just, we're in this age right now where it's funny. We're in an age of artificial intelligence, and you're just seeing the technology just coming out every day. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. I mean, artificial intelligence literally everywhere. And then you also in an age where people are in not artificial ignorance, real ignorance. How about that? RI. We got AI and we got RI, real ignorance. And we got folks out here that are literally moving out on that. And it's just willing ignorance. But there's also another thing that I'm noticing too. And I don't know, you let me know in the chat, if you've been noticing this too. And I've been talking about this a lot. But it's worthy of bringing it up again and again and again and again. On my timeline, I get all sorts of different people and channels and different things, and some things are interesting. And I would say typically what you see on my timeline most of the time are movie recaps. I love watching those movie recaps because I save so much time, and then watching, because there's some movies I'm like I saw one the other night and I was like, hey, this movie actually might seem interesting. And I actually watched it and I loved it. I actually liked it. It was, what was the movie? It's called The Electric State. Now that movie's actually getting some terrible reviews. But I'm telling you, I actually really enjoyed watching that movie. It was a very fun movie to watch. It wasn't no corny, dorky kind of like, we got to put a little extra messaging in here. I didn't get any of that. It was just, for me, I really enjoyed it. And there were actors in there because it's robots and it's a whole really unique storyline. It's a typical storyline about robots taking over, but it's with a twist, but it's really a fun watch, and it's on Netflix, and I actually enjoyed it. And so what was my point here? So anyway, so you see that kind of stuff, like a lot of movie reviews. I got some other things that come down to like history, current events, all kinds of stuff. But the one thing that I do see that comes up a lot is, and like I said again, someone said, Miss Sana she said, I really liked it too. Yeah, that was a good movie, wasn't it? I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't, because I always be going to movies like, when am I going to turn it on? But that one was actually pretty good. Let me turn this fan on. And so anyway, one of the things I've been noticing, and like I said again, I've talked about this a lot, is this tendency of the religious sect. And when I say the religious sect, I'm specifically talking about, those that see themselves as prophets or prophetesses, that feel like they have a word from the Lord and they got to tell you something, what's going on. And what I've been noticing, and it's specifically with religious, okay, not all, but religious black women that come across my timeline. One of the things I've been noticing is the amount of fear that they have been pushing and continue to push on everything. I mean, everything. The world is about to turn on its head. If you dare tune in, you're like, okay, what are we talking about today? Okay, what judgment is coming now? Okay, I got my judgment card. Okay, so you got the judgment on the east, the judgment on the west, you got the judgment on the north, and you got the judgment on the south, and who's cursed now? I mean, it's literally over and over and freaking over and over and over again. And people be watching this like, yeah, that's right. It's coming. I'm going to show y'all a series of videos in a moment because it's going to tie in a moment and what I'm talking about. But I was like, there's just no joy. I literally see no joy for someone that claims to be following God or the Most High, Yah, whatever. I thought y'all was supposed to have joy, but every time you open your mouth, it's fear and destruction over and over again. This person, you see what's going to happen? Oh, do you see what Trump is getting ready to do now? Oh, Elon Musk, he's getting ready to take away all of our black rights now. See, this is part of the curse. It's just literally over and over and over again. And I want to say this about those people, right? And let me help you out for those of you, because I know I got a percentage of people who tune in and you listen to that stuff all the time. Number one, stop listening to them. That's my advice to you. What you do with your own time is up to you. But my personal advice to you, if you want to live a happy, fulfilling life, a bright life, Stop listening to people that's always dunking on your day and your future. Okay? Do yourself a favor. Stop doing that. If you're part of a belief system that's always talking about that all the time, you might want to make an exit stage right. Okay? You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that to yourself. And you don't want to do that to your family. And speaking of which, I will say this. When you look honestly at these people that I'm referring to, in most cases, I would go even further and probably say all of these cases, their home life is a direct reflection of what they're putting out. I'm willing to put it a lot on the table for that. Because I started thinking about this. I said, let me think about this for a second. I said, I got Nicole here. Let me think of the women that are in my lives, right? I said, I got Nicole, my wife, been married for, over 25 years now. And, we've been through ups and downs. We've been through all kinds of stuff or whatever. But if you were to have a camera in our house, besides working and all that, man, we'll be in here acting silly, be laughing and all of that. And then sleeping, it just, after working and doing all that, and then we'll go out, maybe we'll go for a drive or something like that, or we'll just sit back in the backyard and just look at the mountains or whatever. And it's just, that's our life, and it's happy. So when you see Nicole on camera, that's her. I mean, she's not like, oh, I got to build myself up and, I got to, she never has to do that. It's just her. She's like, I got to put myself together. She got to do all stuff. But other than that, she's just her. That's it. There's no build up. There's nothing. So what you're getting from her is who she is. Same thing with me. What you're getting from me is who I am. There's no build up like, oh Lord, I ain't got to do all that. I ain't got to build myself up for all of this. I just get in front of the camera, just like many of you. And then likewise, let me think about my mom. Okay, my mother, same thing. Now, my mother has been through, she's going through, she's like a butterfly, like a metamorphosis, going through some great changes in her life, and she's coming out and finally in her own, for real, after all, she's really coming out and really stretching out her wings and really seeing and all. And so, but if she was just to stay on the negative and the negative stuff that she had experienced in the past, like, whatever, man, it would just be coming out all the time, wouldn't it? It just all the time. But I don't get that. She just, you understand what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is when you listen to people, so when you get in front of the camera, in most cases, you are getting pretty much what that person really is. So if that person all the time is focused on negativity, judgment, death, and destruction, and God's going to bring America down, and God's going to curse America, and he's going to curse anybody that this and that or whatever. If there's insecurity, if there's a lot of uncertainty in the messaging that you're putting out, that means there's a lot of uncertainty in your house. It's a pretty easy logic, when you put it together, because nobody that's really joyful is going to be putting that out all the time. There's one person I'm thinking about in particular, divorce. And then going back and forth, there was a lot of stuff. There was some sleeping around and stuff going on. But this person, boy, man, listen, they would get on here and be like, God told me this or that or whatever. And people are like, that's right. I know it. See, I know you hear from the Lord. But ignoring the fact that I always like, okay, where's the husband? What do he got to say on this? You understand what I'm saying? So my point is that in this time that we're in right now, you have to make an effort to make sure that you are separating yourself from people who are always just forever just negative. It's just negative. It's just negative. And, America is this and America's garbage. And God, one day he's going to judge America and all this stuff. And it's just over and over and over and over again. Listen, what you choose to believe is what you choose to believe. And like I said in the past, and I will continue to say it over and over again, if you have this view that one day that the sky is going to open up and he's going to God is going to come down and strike and destroy all of America, and America is going to be in flames and all of that. Let me ask you something. In this view, in this vision that you have, where are you? Where you going to be? You got a exit route that's proven, not a hope or wish, but do you actually have somewhere that you got set aside that you're going to go to? Or you still debating about it on, I think I'm going to be in the promised land. It's going to be in Ethiopia. It's going to be in South Africa. I mean, it's going to be in Hawaii. It's going to be in Canada. It's going to be, you still trying to figure that part out. I think I would, if I'm like lusting almost for the day that this place going to get burned up, I'm going to make sure I got my escape route already set. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? So what I'm saying is that this is going to be a time your brain is going to have to be paramount. Meaning, I'm not telling you to worship your brain. I'm simply saying, listen, this is one of the best gifts that our Creator gave us is our brain and our ability to use it. And there are a lot of people that are choosing not to. And one of the things that you have to do to protect this thing is to make sure that you are always keeping around you peace and peaceful people. Do you understand what I'm saying? You got to make sure of that. But if you're listening to people who don't have peaceful lives in their own house, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're not. You are not. You are most certainly not doing yourself any favors. So I'm just saying, please do yourself a favor, y'all. You know, you're going to have to turn some of these people off if you are trying to move forward and ahead. And speaking of which, and let me just stop here. So tonight, I got a few things I'm touching on here. But tonight we're gonna look at the JFK files, just very briefly. We are in the world. I'm doing a video about 80,000 pages. Okay, we ain't doing that. Okay, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about this whole Target situation as well, because 1 + 1 actually equals 2. We're gonna talk about that. We're also gonna talk about probably some other things too, but that's pretty much what we're going to talk about. And again, welcome to everybody that's coming in here. So again, please do yourself a favor, y'all. Stop listening to this and surround yourself with some positive folks that are pushing you forward and ahead and giving you a reason to look forward to the next day. Listen, this is not, understand what I'm saying. I am not saying that you got to get you a MAGA hat and you got to you got to put an American flag around you and I'm defend this country no matter what and all this other stuff and God bless America and you got to do all this stuff. I'm not saying that, but see, I am learning. I've learned in the past. I'm here right now, so I may not want to curse this place. You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? That I'm not there yet. You know what I'm saying? I'm not there. When I was in the Hebrew space, yeah, that's right. I can't wait till this place comes down. Now, we don't like the system because the way the system is set up, we understand the way the system is set up. It benefits some people and it doesn't benefit others. We understand that and we get it. And as far as I'm concerned, yes, I would love to see that system come down. Absolutely. But some of the things I'm hearing, people are wanting earthquakes to happen, fire come from the sky. Every time there's some disease that comes out, they're like, yes, bring it. Bring it. You know, and it's like, yeah, but I'm still here. I ain't trying to be around with all of that. Come down. You know what I mean? And when you find out, then when you start digging in deeper, you find out, that's just, you just really are about just celebrating bad news. That's really what it's about. Has nothing to do with your own whatever, woo-woo or whatever. No, you just like bad news because your life has been bad news up to this point. You understand what I'm saying? So there are people who are invested, fully invested in just spreading bad news, you know, negativity and just whatever. And they don't have anything to give you. Nothing. Absolutely Nothing. So, like I said again, do yourself a favor and just you got to turn some of these folks on. Now, there's a trend that has been going on on TikTok. Do I get to that first, or do I get to I'm trying to transition, between these different things here. You know what? I'm gonna get to those. I'm gonna get to that. Let me go to this thing I posted yesterday or was it yesterday? Yeah, I think it was yesterday. Because some people I saw, I was like, how you not get this? I don't understand this. And when I post things on the community page, everything we post, from the videos to those cartoons, which, by the way, I have a link. We just posted all the cartoon strips that we've done. I put them all, and I created his own Instagram page. Look on the community page, and I put the link there. You can check it out, okay? But we put all of that there. But anyway, this one I posted yesterday. Anything we post, there's a lot of thought put behind it. I don't just throw stuff up just to throw things up. I do it because I'm always trying to see where people are in their thinking, always. So I'm never just throwing things up. So this was one of those things I posted yesterday, and for some, it was like, what are you talking about? I don't understand. And this was one that threw people off, and I knew it would, and I'm glad it did. I just don't get it. What are you trying to say here? I'm confused. I don't understand what it's. I literally got the scripture up there. Literally, the scripture's up there. And what I said here, I said it was in church where I learned as a straight man that I was the bride of another man. And then I said, let the splaining commence, because I knew it was coming. And so I posted this, and you had some people that was like, I don't get it. It just threw me off. But when you listen to the scripture, this is the scripture put in an image. That's what this is. When you call yourself, and I'm talking to Christians now, when you, in your Bible, it talks about how you are the bride of Christ. That's what the Bible says. That includes men and that includes women. Okay? That includes men and that includes women. What I'm saying in this image is this. There is under no circumstance should a man refer to himself, a straight man, refer to himself as a bride. You should never do that. Well, Dwayne, you don't understand. See, metaphorically, name me something in your life, man. I'm talking to the straight men now, where you compared yourself to being a bride outside of the church. Give me the scenario where you compared yourself as a straight man to being a woman. Name it. Name me the scenario. See, when we were in church, we would just say things over and over again until it got in us where it's like normal. This is like normal talk. But then when you step back, I did a whole series where we went all the way back to ancient Greek and ancient Rome. The series we did on talking about why is it just we're seeing the large amount of gays and lesbians in the black church. We're talking to black church, but you see it in other churches too. But specifically, we're talking to black church here because that was the topic, right? Why do we see so much of that going on? But then we also talk about the Catholic Church as well, because the Catholic Church has got this huge thing going on where they like messing with little boys, especially little boys. They mess with little girls too, but they like messing with them little boys. Why is that? Why is that always the thing? And so to understand that, we had to go all the way back to ancient Greek and ancient Rome and all of that. And then from there, we brought it all the way back to today. That thing that you have in your hand called the Bible, you think it fell out of heaven and came in your little brown precious hands and this straight from King David. No, you got that from the Masons. We're gonna talk about them. We're gonna talk about them tonight, okay? That's where you got it from. And their wacky belief system. That's where it came from, right? And so these beliefs from these different sources that they pull from, it's all in there. So there is no metaphor that I've ever heard a straight man use where he says, you know what? Sometimes I'm just like my wife, I'm trying to figure out, I just want to be, I just want to put on a dress, or whatever. Sometimes I just want to be pretty. I just want to feel pretty some days. You're never going to hear a straight man say that. So what I'm saying is, I know for many of you, you have been trained and indoctrinated that you never question that book. Don't you dare question it. Don't you dare touch it now. Don't you dare do. I know many of you we all have been trained like that. Okay. I'm in that too. But once you get to the point where you're like, wait a minute, whoa, let's back up here for a second. Hold on. A bride of Christ. I'm a man. How am I a bride? And then I put a comment in there later. I've been part of praise and worship services where the praise and worship leader talking about, it's time to make love to Jesus. Make love to him. Open your mouth and just receive him. And then when I stepped back, one day it just clicked. I was like, whoa, hold on for a second. Wait a minute here. Now, again, for some of you, you may say, well, Dwayne, it's not, everything isn't gay. It's not that or whatever. But I'm asking you to name me a scenario in your life where you have compared yourself as a straight man to a woman. I've never done it. So I wanted to make an illustration of the actual scripture, or what it looks like when you put men in that picture. This is what it looks like. So I know for some of you, and throw you for a loop for a minute, I don't get it. But folks, we've been talking about this for a very long time. We have been, like I said, again, you want to know the different influences of that book? Do you really want to know? Some people, there are a lot of people that really don't want to know, and they tune that out. But I'm telling you, in this era, in this time that we're in right now, you are going to have to start using your brain. It's okay. It's okay to investigate. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to do that. We encourage people to do that all the time. And when you start looking at these different phrases and different statements and different things that you have been taught for years and years and years, don't dare question it, and you start looking at the origins of these things, you'll never look back once you start finding out the truth. I'm telling you, you won't. You will never look back. But I'm telling you, there are a lot of people that don't want to do it. They don't, because they're afraid of what they're going to find out. They're afraid of what they're going to see. So so we do that all the time. I take a lot of these things that we've been saying for a long time, and I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and put it in in picture format so people can see exactly what it looks like. And now you see. So there you go. So anyway, let's move on here. Now let me go back to the main rail that we was on, talking about how you got people who are so invested in this fear, so invested in fear. Now I moved all these videos over, and for some reason they decided not to come over, but let's try this again. But there's a trend that someone told me about on TikTok. You're going to have to see this. You are going to have to see this. And then we're going to slowly get into that Target stuff in here in a moment. Let me try this again and see if it comes over. For some reason, it didn't copy. There we go. There you go. I don't know what it is. But anyway, it's a trend where people are saying, when it happens, hashtag when it happens. And what they're talking about is, it's like wink, wink, when Trump gets, and they're like so built up on, when it happens, when it happens, I'm going to be doing this. When it happens, it's going to do that. And I want you to look at these different videos. These are short videos. And I want to see if you notice a trend. Just if you notice anything. Let's take a look. And they're going to go back to back to back. Okay, so here we go.
Talking about when it happened. Let me tell y'all something. When it happened, since those are thugs and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Let's hope it's one of the people in-house. Less work for us. We did our part all together. I don't got time. But when it happened, enjoy yourselves. But be prepared to fight. Be prepared for the bullshit. Okay? Alright? Okay. And don't be too lost in the motherfucking bogle or your knuckle, bitch. Understand the chain of demand. Who's gonna fall under him? So clear house, goddamn.
Everybody been giving their 2 cents on when it happens. I just want to give y'all my 2 cents on when it happens, because when it happens, there is no party over here. Like, we're not going to work and celebrating with coworkers. Nah, fuck that. I'm buckering down. I am strapping up. I am getting right, because if they could slide off of him saying, yeah, revolt, and they rigged the election, if they could slide during that, what do you think is going to happen when they get that news feed on their orange guy isn't with us no more? What you mean? They're going to pull a what you mean. They would respond, and for those that might not understand, put it like this. It's the same way if LeBron James was to get... What do you think we would do? My exact point.
As a theater major, I had to read a lot of Shakespeare, and there is a play about Julius Caesar called Julius Caesar. There's this line in there that's beware the Ides of March, you know? And it means like the 15th of March. I'm not really sure why it's called Ides. But it's this prediction about what's going to happen to Julius Caesar on the 15th of March. All I'm saying, you know, I'm not saying that it should, but what I am saying is that if it did happen today, it would be very poetic. Like, wow, you know, I can't believe it. Like, you know, it's just like in Shakespeare. I'm not saying it should happen, but if it did happen, it would be poetic. And
I'm seeing all these videos about everybody saying when it happens, when it happens. Like, what the fuck are we really gonna do? Because when it happens, don't y'all know that the next person it could potentially happen to is gonna be next in line for what it is? So the same bullshit shit that everyone's manifesting for one person, we gotta knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. Cause you know that saying, birds of a feather flock together. So you can't just get 1 bird, you gotta get the whole flock of them hoes. So it really should be when it happens again. But if in
when it happens, I don't care how it happens, but I'm saying when it happens, it's gonna feel like Christmas. I think I'm gonna take a day off of work, maybe the whole week off of work, and then I'm gonna take that day off every single year. I will throw something on the grill every single year until I die. That is going to be my second Juneteenth.
So since everybody talking about when it happens and what they gonna do the day afterwards, and everybody calling off, baby, I'm not calling off. I'm showing up to my job with balloons, donuts, a fruit platter, and some Trader Joe's chocolate chip cookies.
How about we do a when it happens when our reading levels get to 12th grade level, generally speaking, when we, you know, when as a collective, the reading levels are up to a height where when we do enter college, we're, you know, there's never an issue. How about we do a when it happens when we actually start building our own hospitals? Or how about we do a when it happens when we actually are the key catalyst of eliminating 100% crime in our own community? How about that? How about we do that? How about that when it happens? But I'm pointing this out because, well, number one, you saw the common thread there, right? You know, like someone said, no straight man be doing that. But your hope is centered around a tragedy. Think about this for a second. Your hope for a better future is centered around a tragedy. I want to say that again. Your hope, and this ties into what I was just talking about earlier. Your hope as a Black person is centered around a tragedy. That's the only way you see yourself moving forward, is that if there's tragedy somewhere else. Now, I've said this in a broadcast recently, but I will say it again. As someone who is podcaster, whatever this is I'm doing here, camera, microphone, lights, or whatever, one thing I realize is this: as a person, there is no way in the world I can move forward as an individual and consider myself just as a black man. I know that's shocking for some of you, because you think I'm abandoning culture and all this other stuff. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm pointing something out to you that's going to connect to the story that we're going to get to. I told you, black is a construct that they assign to us. And I went through that in another video, and I'm not going through the whole thing again, but I will say it here in short. You were called black when you got here. Wherever we came from, we didn't call each other black because we were all black. But when you entered into this system, not only did they call you that, but they assigned certain characteristics on what you were going to be and how you were going to function and how you were going to think. That is what they assigned to you. And when you look at people who just stay within that assignment, we always stay in that same circle. You can never just have a nice life. It's always, when they kill off this person or when they take out this person, then my best day is going to be, I'm going to have a cookout. Like, in terms of, let's put the foolishness away. How about we just shut that off? You know what I'm saying? And just focus on building our own stuff. You know what I'm saying? We're in a time right now, and I've talked about this, in this window of time that we're in right now. This is one of the greatest times right now where you can build businesses, you can build all kinds of stuff right now. I know people looking at the market and they think, oh, the market is crazy and all this other stuff. But the market goes through the cycles like it does all the time. It does. But this is the time, if you are trying to do something, this is the time for you to do it. But as long as you are thinking from these different voices that we're talking about, that want you to focus on, oh, they're bringing in Jim Crow again, and oh, you're doing this. As long as you keep listening to those voices, you are limiting yourself to this construct that they put in you called black. And I'm saying you can never move forward if that's your thinking. You'll never move forward in life. You never will. You'll always be focused on what you don't have, instead of who you really are and what you are. And in order to do that, you're going to have to be willing to let go of these titles and descriptions and stuff that they always put on you. You're going to have to be willing to let go on that. But let's move on to our story. I had some other stuff, but I want to move on to our this first story here. And this is that story regarding, you remember Tabitha Brown when she was talking about, hey, listen, if y'all, Tabitha Brown, she was like, listen, if y'all want a boycott, hey, listen, I understand and I get it. You remember she was saying that? She said, I understand and I get it. If you want a boycott, hey, you could do it. But just remember, babies, we got, there's black businesses in there. And if you boycott Target, you're going to be impacting the black businesses, right? So that's all I'm trying to say, and all of that. So we did a video on that, and we took issue with the fact that she's trying to talk both sides of her mouth. And on one hand, she's saying, I get it. You want to boycott? Yeah, basically kind of giving a green light to that, but also at the same time saying, hey, don't forget me. You know what I'm saying? And so we had to take that apart and really listen to it, and was like, no, you need to be more direct on what you're trying to say, sis. This is not a good idea at all. It is not a good idea. And if you watch the video, because we did our little investigation and found out, well, who actually came up with this whole boycott thing? They actually calling it a blackout, by the way. Well, come to find out, it wasn't black people that came up with it at all. It was a Jewish man. Yeah, we talked about this. This is a Jewish man who decided to come up with this thing. He got the Black Power fist and he put it as his logo and he called it Blackout. And he went right to the black preachers and said, I need y'all to push it for me. And that's exactly what happened. So this was not a black thing. And the reason why they were doing it, keep in mind, was because Target got rid of their DEI. At least that's what they were talking about. That's what they mentioned. But here's the problem. Only according to Black Enterprise, only 4% of black folks were even benefiting from DEI. So what is this really about? You tell me 4% was everybody tripping over 4%? But anyway, there's a video, if I can find it, hopefully, from this channel. And they mentioned this black woman who basically is now one of the fallen, if you will. Because Target now, they said, all right, well, you out of here. And black folks are, you got some black folks who are out here saying, see, I told you, Target, they were going to get rid of all the black people because they don't like black people. Right? So here's the video here. I found it. Let me pull it up here. And it's on this Dr. Rashad's channel. And I'm just going to play this part where this lady, she's talking about, and I have an article that I'm going to refer to, and it's going to be her words, okay? Not mine, her words. All right, let's play it.
People keep asking my opinion about Target as a black vendor who used to sell at Target. Don't go there. They dropped us. They dropped us along with a bunch of other black vendors without a lot of notice. We have 20,000 units in our warehouse now that we're trying to sell on our website, www.likeyoucards.com. There are tons of other creators of color who had contracts that were dropped. So yeah, support people, small businesses via their websites, not Target.
Okay, so that's her. She's saying that she was dropped, and she's also mentioning that other small black vendors were also dropped as well. I haven't heard from other ones yet. Not saying that's not true. I'm just saying I didn't hear that. Okay. But let me pull up something here. Give me a moment, because I found this article because I wanted to find out more about it. And I already had some additional questions regarding this story here. And this article from this channel, or rather this platform, is called Afrotech. They had this interview with her on it. Her name is Kiara Imani Williams, and she has these cards that she came up with. These are like playing cards, like for family or whatever. And it's like, I guess, I don't know if it's Black history or whatever, but they're black themes, right? These are like little playing cards. Like if you have friends and family or whatever come over and, they get little card game going on, not cards like, spades and nothing like that. But it's, it's this like this expand your brain. Very good, neat concept, right? So here's the article here that I want to read to you. Okay. And this was written in March the 18th, which was yesterday. All right. And let's go ahead and read it here. Entrepreneur Kiara Imani Williams claims that she was dropped from Target on short notice. Williams is an attorney with a decade of experience in entertainment law, a writer, and a co-founder of the card game Like You, which is designed to spark conversations among family and friends. Like You made its way to Target shelves during a period where many companies were pledging support diverse brands as a result of George Floyd being murdered at the hands of police brutality. Williams believed Target's commitment was genuine and would endure, but it was mistaken. But she was mistaken, sorry. But has been mistaken, sorry. Like You cards were born out of conversations that emerged after George Floyd's murder, a time when so many people were searching for ways to connect, listen, and to understand, Williams said in an email interview with Afrotech. Target made a pledge to support diverse communities at that moment, and that it was committed. I'm sorry. moment, and it was that commitment that made me believe they would be the right fit. But since then, like many other organizations, they've pulled back. Let's move on. As Afrotech previously reported, Target is among the companies scaling back their diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. Their change in stance led to the end of a program that provided shelf space. That's a key word there. That's a key word. They provided shelf space for Black-owned and minority-owned businesses. Target retreated from its 3-year DEI goals at the beginning of January 2025. Williams had previously learned from the retailer that her products would no longer be shelved in Target stores beginning in fall of 2024 due to a change in lineup. There was no big announcement, no conversation, just a quiet removal from stores. And to top it all, and to top all that, I was navigating all this as a new mom. It was very isolating, Williams recalled. Williams made great sacrifices to ensure her products had a chance to win with the retailer. In a TikTok video, she admits, listen to this part, listen, and listen again. In the TikTok video, she admits she invested her savings into creating the perfect products for Target shelves. When considering the cost of production, shipping, marketing, and warehousing, Williams also says she spent more than what was earned. Okay? I'm taking time with some of this here. Williams admits that she has been previewed. She's been previewed that Target was not committed to diversity. Those efforts would have been diffused. Adding insult to injury, she claims that although Target did state they intended to move some of the Black vendors for Black History Month, it was not clear that they would be required to pay $10,000 to $20,000 to be featured, which was not a feasible payment for some of the Black vendors. I'm just reading through this, and we're going to go back, y'all, and we're going to look at this in detail. At first, getting into Target felt like a dream come true, like being invited on an exclusive trip to Italy. No, honey, this wasn't Italy. This was Target. It seemed like a major opportunity, a chance to introduce my brand to a wider audience. But once I got there, I realized I had to pay for my own flight and my own food and my own accommodations. Oh my God, I have to be a business. I have to actually be an entrepreneur. Oh my. Williams admits to Afrotech, I didn't speak the language. Here's another one I want you to park and think about it. I didn't speak the language, and instead of being given a prime seat at the table, I was given a room in the back and told I could pay extra to upgrade. What was you expecting? What was you expecting? She added, Target provided visibility, sure, but financially, between production, shipping, marketing, and warehousing costs, we spent more than we made. Many of us were left scrambling, trying to keep up with fees and demands we weren't fully prepared for. And when the numbers didn't meet their expectations, numbers that were impossible to hit without real support, our brands were quietly removed. I am so glad that they have documented all of this. I'm so glad, because this ain't some like let's twist the knife in her back. No. This is a great lesson. This is a great lesson for entrepreneurs. It really is. That's why I said I'm glad it's documented. Let's continue. She says, with 20,000 units left to sell after being dropped from Target, Williams will now bank on the community support. Customers can shop her products by visiting, and they give her a link there, And she says she also plans to expand like you into classrooms. Okay. And then she's talking about here, she's wanting to expand it in classrooms, right? And then the article goes on. It kind of, goes out in the beginning. Okay. So I'm glad we got all of that. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look through this. Okay. And I'm going to, and as I'm addressing this, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for many, many years. Okay. So I'm not just saying things just to say it. Okay. This is coming out of my own personal experience. And someone may say, well, everybody's got their own experience. No, we're just talking strictly business. That's all we're talking about. Strictly business here. Okay. So first of all, I have never seen her cards. Okay. I cannot comment on the content of the cards and tell you, well, I've used her cards before and I think they're great. And I can't comment on that because I've never seen them. Not me. I've never seen them. But it sounds like a great idea. It sounds like a very good thing. But let's be real here for a second. Okay. Can we be kind of honest here for a second? Okay. As much as that is a really good idea, is that something realistically that's going to be in high demand? Or at least the demand that she had in her mind. What I'm saying is this, that those cards clearly are targeted towards families, which include children coming together. Children coming together and going through the cards and all of that. Is there a market for that? Or is there a market for children, playing with their parents and stuff like that? Yeah, with grandparents and their children. And some parents too, to a certain measure. But today we live in this society. Okay, we live in this society where you playing with cards and like, hey, I got, you the grandparent or you the parent. Hey, guess what, kids? I got Yahtzee. I'm not trying to be, I'm just saying they're like, Yahoo, what? Let's just be real for a second, okay? Can we be real? And they say, okay, all right. So the first question is, what happened during the march in DC or something like that? And they're like, and you all excited, right? You all excited because you going through that. You know what your children are doing? Siri, what happened on such and such? They give you the answer before you even flip the card. They'll give you the answer. Let's be real. Let's be real. So what I'm saying is this, from a markability standpoint, yes, it sounds like a great idea. It definitely sounds like a great idea. I'm not shooting that down. But what I'm saying is that I'm just being realistic here. You're putting this in Target, which is good for you. I'm glad. There's a lot of things like that in Target. But realistically, is there a huge demand across the board for something like this? I would have to say no, it isn't. Regardless if you black, white, whatever, it doesn't matter. There's not, unfortunately, we're in a society right now where just about everything is digital. I'm just saying. So that's number one, that you're going into this. This is what you're going into, right? It's a great product, great idea. But if you walked in there and thought that your stuff was going to be flying off the shelf, I mean, it's not. And clearly people were not buying it because, let me back up here. This is a point that I brought up in the post. Target, and I put it in all caps, Target is not going to remove a profitable product from their shelves. There is no business, no successful business that's going to take a product that's making a significant, meeting the numbers. They're going to just remove it because, these people don't care, you black, white, or whatever. They don't care like that. If your stuff is making money, your stuff going to be on the shelf so that they can make their money. Okay. It's about them at the end of the day, y'all. Let's be clear. Regardless if it's Target, if it's Walmart, yeah, they're in the community, but at the end of the day, it's about them. You understand what I'm saying? They're not there to help you out. You know what I'm saying? They trying to help. Target's mindset is the way we're gonna move forward is by having products in here that people want, people gonna buy, and we're going to be able to make a significant margin off of it, right? That's how Target and Walmart or whatever, that's how they think. That's how businesses work. You understand what I'm saying? It's not a ministry. I had a discussion on that the other day. It's not a ministry. Target, Walmart is not a ministry. For some of you out there that are in business, I know you want to do good things for your people, and you want to target, but your business, the reason why a lot of black businesses fail is because most of the time, we're bringing church mindset into the entrepreneur mindset. In other words, you think that doing business in the real world is like a ministry. And you treat it like that. And that's why a lot of these black businesses fail. Because you're thinking like it's a ministry. People are not, and how does that apply to this? People are not going, when you're in the church, let's say you're in the bookshelf in the church. You know, some churches, they have like a little bookstore back there and you got it on the bookshelf. I'm sure people will buy it because that's what they're about. They're like, oh man, this is cool. All right, we're going to support our sister and we want to help her out. That's good or whatever, right? But when you take it out of the church bookstore and put it on the Target shelf or on the Walmart shelf, well, guess what? You're not in church no more. Now you're in the real world. Now you're going to have some people that's going to come in and see it and be like, oh, this is a great thing. But a lot of people ain't going in there. If I go in Target, I'm not going in there like, okay, so I have a list of all the black things in here and then I'm going to buy. Ain't nobody think like, I don't know anybody that thinks like that. I'm going in there trying to get some draws and something to drink and some chips. Okay. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? I ain't thinking like that. And if I come across something that's like, whatever, that's, oh man, this is black on. Okay, cool. Your business should never be set up like some kind of tithe and offering kind of situation. You better be offering some products that people actually want. That's how business operates. That's no reflection on her. That's no reflection on her character. But as we're going through this, her expectations were to the moon somewhere, which is okay. But, you got to bring that back down to earth. There's no, you know what I'm saying? And so let's go through it. Let's go back through it. So I just wanted to say all of that first. But this jumping to conclusions, like Rashad on his channel, he's already jumped into conclusions talking about, it's racism or whatever. No. It's a little bit, it's not just that. It's not that. I don't see any of that in this. So anyway, let's go ahead. I'm just going through the article here. Let me pull the article back up so you can follow along with me. Okay. So number one, like I said, again, Target is not, or any business, they're not going to remove a profitable product off of their shelves. If the product was in demand like that, they would leave it up there. They would leave it up there. When you go into these different stores, when you're looking at the shelf, every space on that shelf is a advertising point. You got to pay for that. So if you want to be on the top shelf, there's a price for that. If you want to be in the middle shelf, there's another price for that. If you want to be on the bottom shelf, they got separate prices for that. If you want to be at the head, the cap, the end cap or whatever, there's a price for that. If you have your own display and you want it kind of sitting in a certain section, there's a price for that. Store space, it includes floor space, it includes shelf space, it includes all of that. You are paying. Each one of these manufacturers are paying for those little spots. You think they just throwing things on shelves? No. They are paying for those slots. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so what this DEI thing did is that these people, with the heavy encouragement of the federal government at the time, was telling these companies, listen, we will give you an incentive for blackening up your shelves a little bit. So we want you to go out there and get some, find some black vendors and just put them up there. We'll give you a financial incentive for doing that. And so that's what they did. And so they got people up there. They got different vendors up there. They put them up there, right? But then, fast forward, here comes Trump and he's took all that away. So now these companies are like, all right, well, let's look through our books again and see where we're making money and where we're losing money. Now, see, one of the things I didn't hear in between what we heard in the video And what we saw in this article, the thing I didn't hear was this. See, when you sign a contract with a vendor, like a, what you call it, like a retailer like that, there's going to be expectations that they're going to have. They're not going to just sign you in and you just sit around. And this woman literally said, well, I just thought I was going to be in Italy. So, this is like winning a trip to Italy. And I thought I was going to be sitting down with it, No, hon, no. This, I was reading through that. I said, you know what this remind me of? It remind me of the housing bubble from back in the day. I can't tell you how many stories I heard of black folks that thought that, I thought I didn't have to put anything down. Listen, there are stories my wife could tell you about that. We were living in Southern California at this time. She was in real estate. I was just getting into it, but I got into it too late and the market went south. But conversations she would have with other, not only black realtors, but black, mortgage lenders. And they were all in cahoots. They knew that the black folks that they were bringing into their offices to sign the paperwork to get these homes, they were saying themselves they knew these people weren't qualified. It was a huge money grab for everybody. And they were bringing in these people, and the black folks, a lot of these folks, they would not, and it's not just black folks, it was white people too. So like I said, again, we get all that, but we're talking about black folks right now. There was a significant number of black folks who were not reading this paperwork, not realizing that in 2 years, your payments were going to go way up to the moon. They weren't reading it. And the sad thing is, like I said, again, you have black real estate agents, you have black mortgage lenders that knew this. They knew this was going to happen. They rushed these people through the paperwork just so that they can get their bag. There are countless number of stories I could tell you about that. You ain't going to see a video on that though, will you? But I'm telling you what I've seen with my own eyes, and I know. This is the kind of stuff that was going on. But anyway, but this is what it reminds me of. This woman literally thought that they were just going to usher her in and be like, oh, what? No, honey, you're going to have to work just like everybody else. You're going to have to work. If you get in a position, if you get an opportunity like that, that's great, but you're going to have to work. You're going to have to bust your butt. And according to, as we were reading this thing, according to her, she was the whole time, even before a boycott, she was struggling. Which is kind of normal for, a small business to be granted a position like that. It's going to be hard at first. We get that. We understand that. But it sounds like, based on how she was talking here, they never got a footing. Even though they were put in that position, she didn't really make nothing. This is even before the boycott. Now, according to how she's saying this, what she's saying in her video, she was saying there's others like her that Target also dropped. So you got people who are listening to this. I'm talking about black folks who have been trained to only hear through your emotions, who've been trained to be always offended about everything instead of asking questions and finding out the details. We just jump to the conclusions on this. But what we're doing with this story is we're looking at this thing and we're pointing out the things that she's saying out of her own mouth. She's saying this. And I'm looking through this. I'm like, no, honey, no, that's not how it works. And then she mentioned a part in there where she talked about how, because now I do remember seeing that at the Target near us. I don't even go to Target. It ain't nothing. It ain't like, oh, I just hate Target. I just don't go to Target. It's one of those stores I just choose not to go to. I just don't. You know what I mean? But we happen to. I think my daughter or somebody, they needed something. My son, he wanted to check in there. So we ran in there and they had an end cap that was set up. And this is back in February, which is like Black History Month. And they had check out all of our special Black History Month products or whatever. And it was like all kind of stuff, right? And you got to pay for that. But somehow she thought that was going to be free. Now, the thing is that I'm asking, well, honey, who told you that? Was that in writing? Was that in writing that they were going to give you those end caps for free? It's right here, adding in, insult to injury. She claims that although Target did state they intended to move some black vendors for Black History Month, it was not clear that they would be required to pay $10,000 to $20,000 to be featured, which was not feasible payment for some of the black vendors. Well, honey, it may not have been feasible for you, but I saw black vendors up there that had it and they did it. Now, was it successful for them or not? I don't know. Hopefully it was. But she clearly went in here as you're reading through this and thought that somehow they were just going to give it. It meant everything was going to be given to her for free. That is not how business works, period. It's not how it works. Now, honestly, I do hope now she's saying at the end here, she's got 20,000 of these cars that she sets, these units that she's got, that she's stuck with. And so now she's saying, well, yeah, I'm just I'm leaning on the community, to sell them. Let me tell you the reality of what is most likely going to happen. Most likely what's going to happen is she may find another retailer, but she's probably either going to have to lower the cost or she's just going to have to rely. You got 20,000 of those things. You got 20,000 of those things that you're trying to sell. That's a lot. And, and on top of that, she's paying warehouse space for that. That's a lot. And there may be a vendor that's going to take that. I'm sure that will take it. Maybe, maybe not. But again, if you sign with a vendor, or when I say a vendor, a retailer, it's going to be the same thing. They're going to want to know your sales history. They're going to see that paperwork. They want to see what the demand is. What did you make in sales in the last year, in the last 6 months? They're going to want to know that. They're going to check they're going to check internet. They're going to check social media. They're going to check all that to see, are people actually talking about this thing or whatever? Is there a demand for this or what? They're going to check all of that. And I'm just saying, might want to just think about doing a donation to a school or something. I'm just saying, maybe, and that'll be a tax write-off. Maybe that'll help you out. I'm just saying. You might want to change up the strategy a little bit for now. But this is even with all of that, I will still say this. This is the beauty of running your business, because, man, there's some hard lessons that you learn. There's some very hard lessons that you learn. And, there's some things that you do and it's like, dang. And it's like sometimes it can seem like setback after setback after setback. But then you get that one idea and it just can turn things around just like that. So I'm not sitting here wishing that, oh, she's bad and stupid and ignorant and all that stuff. No, not at all. I want to see people win. When I see entrepreneurs or whatever, I want to see, because I can understand the struggle. I get the hustle. I get it. But going into a situation like that and expecting them to just hand things to you, it doesn't work that way. It was a door of opportunity for you to go there, but it wasn't a realistic one. And that is the damage that DEI type programs do to black folks, because they put us in positions that it's not that we're too stupid and dumb and can't do it. It's just that there are many examples where we've been placed in these positions simply because they want the company photo to have some color in it. But you yourself, you're not really prepared to handle it. You understand what I'm saying? And so when you fail, then it makes you look bad. So no, this ain't, looking at this thing from top to bottom, and a big shout out to Afrotech for posting this. I really appreciate that, because this is a lesson that I hope a lot of people look at and learn from, because this right here, I'm glad they posted this. I'm really glad they posted this. And I hope people really pay attention, because, if you don't, it's just, you're going to miss some valuable lessons in this. And I think there's some very valuable lessons in this that it doesn't matter. And DEI, again, it's not realistic. It is not a realistic thing. And, particularly for us as black folks, because it's not designed. It's just designed to fill up places to put some black faces there, and that's it. That's really what it was designed to do. And like we said again, it's only 5% of black folks even benefited from the thing. So no. Anyway, speaking of black businesses, topic I really like talking about. Here's another one. Here's something I came across here. This is in Spelman College. Spelman College. How many of you guys in the Atlanta area or even beyond, you've heard of the restaurant called SLUTTY Vegan? I've never eaten there. I would never eat somewhere called SLUTTY anything. I don't care. I really don't care who it is. I just think, what you name your food, it says a lot about you, and it says a lot about your business, and it says a lot about your food to some extent. That's just my own personal opinion. That's it. But I've heard nothing but great things for a while regarding SLUTTY Vegan and how good the food is and all of that stuff. And so, but I can't speak on the food, but apparently they were the preferred vendor, one of the preferred vendors on Spelman College's campus. But guess what happened? Now, SLUTTY Vegan has been running into a lot of problems in these last few years. Poor treatment of as they started getting more and more popular. Employees start coming out and talking about how poorly treated they were being. That was the poor treatment they were getting as employees. Sometimes the employees were saying that they weren't even getting paid. There was some harassment. She was taken to court. There was a lot of messy stuff that was going on as far as the business is concerned, and how it was being run. And but they seem like they still kind of hanging around and doing stuff. So, but their prices, and I've heard, this is not the first time, one of the things I heard, some of the things I've been hearing a lot of is that they kept jacking up these prices up and up and up and up and up. And so Spelman, now they're saying, nah, you're going to have to get out of here. Take a listen to the whole story on this. I thought this was interesting.
SLUTTY Vegan, a black-owned restaurant owned by black woman Pinky Cole, is closing down its Spelman location after being voted out by the student union, or like the student restaurant union or whatever. And some of the students, I was just reading the comments. I reached out to some of the students. They wanted to stay anonymous, so I don't want to put their name out there. But a lot of the students were saying it was limited options and it cost too much. So if you ever had SLUTTY Vegan, they're not cheap. They're not a cheap option, right? It's a premium, food, but they got voted out. And I'm not sure if you ever heard of the Twisted Taco. You ever heard of Twisted Taco?
I have.
So they're being replaced. SLUTTY Vegan is being replaced at the HBCU Spelman by Twisted Taco.
Whoa, Twisted Taco is replacing. Market is going to do what the market does. The market is going to do what the market does at the end of the day. I do understand, like, especially for small restaurants, the cost of certain foods and stuff like that, especially if you have a certain standard when it comes to the food that you offer, like if since it's a vegan outlet, you probably, there's certain tomatoes, it's got to come from this or that or whatever, the costs on some of those things are going up, and it's impacting a lot of these small restaurants, which is understandable. But like I said, I think this is a little more than that, because there's been a history there's some greed, mismanagement of money and all this other stuff. But what happens? People just going to move on and go to the next thing. That's just what's going to happen. And what you're seeing there. So what is it? So we're going to say Spelman now. They don't. They hate black people now. That's the storyline now. That's what we're gonna say now, or is it that this is just the market? And the other thing I would add too, speaking of market forces, you got people out here that are like cheering of the fact that, oh yeah, you see, Tesla's stock is going down, and But if you look at if you actually understand the market and follow the market, you'll see that it ain't just Tesla. There are a lot of companies right now, they're on the down right now. But there are things that are working right now that's showing that these companies are about to have one of the biggest rebounds in many years. But this is the nature of the market. And if you think for one moment people getting out there scratching up cars and stuff is all going to impact the market, it just isn't. No, that's not how the market works. And so, for people out here celebrating that, they just show how little they understand of the marketplace here. Let's move on here. And let's just get to the JFK stuff real quick here. And like I said, again, there are plenty of things that came out of this, but we're just going to keep it brief here because, like I said, like many people, you just want to know the highlights, right? So that's why I'm going to give you, that's what we're going to talk about here as soon as I can pull it up here. But the highlights basically are that, if I could summarize it, Israel. Israel is the highlight. Israel is the highlight in these in that paperwork that they dropped. There were spots all throughout these documents where they were specifically saying, this is the government now, this is CIA, FBI, all of them. They were specifically saying that it was written in the document. They were saying, whatever you do, let's make sure that Israel's name is kept out of this. They kept saying that over and over again throughout the documents. That was one of the things that came out. So Mossad had their hands all on it. And interesting enough, the day that these documents dropped, there was some Jewish organization. They came out. They said, now is anti-Semitic. You're is anti-Semitism if you suggest that Jews had anything to do with the assassination of JFK. So they cleared that up real quick. So if you dare mention what these documents actually say, you're an anti-Semite. You see how that works? Anyway, so here's some excerpts that people pulled out. I figured I would just take it this route here as opposed to like, okay, on page 36, it says this and all of that. Because ain't nobody, if you want to make the time for that, you go ahead and do that. I think it'll be an interesting project, but I just know some people just don't have the time like that anymore. But anyway, let me start off with this one section that a lot of people are talking about. It says, newly released JFK files tell a story of how Gary Underhill, who worked for the CIA, was found dead after he revealed to his friends that the CIA was responsible for JFK's assassination. The day after the assassination, Gary Underhill left Washington in a hurry. Late in the evening, he showed up at the home of his friends in New Jersey. He was very agitated. A small clique within the CIA was responsible for the assassination, he confided, and he was afraid for his life and probably would have to leave the country. Less than 6 months after Underhill was found shot to death in his Washington apartment. The coroner's office ruled it as a suicide. Yeah, of course it was. It was a suicide. How many bullet holes he had on the back of his head? I'm just curious. Here's another one here. The JFK, another thing that came out. JFK, according to these documents, he wanted, the thing that came out of this is that he wanted to basically strip Israel of their access to nuclear weapons, because JFK was really trying to kind of squash the uprising that was taking place in the Middle East at that time. And so JFK, there was let's read this one here. Let me see. I'm trying to remember what this one said here. Newly released JFK files shed light more on Operation Mongoose, revealing that the CIA planned. That's a whole nother one there. I won't read that one. I'll get back to that one. Hold on for a second. Oh, where is it? I may just have to just tell you this. So basically, yeah, I'll just tell you. So basically, yeah. So the CIA, or rather, so JFK, he put his foot down. He was saying, no, we are not going to allow Israel to have access to any kind of biological weapons. I'm gonna put my foot down on that, because no, y'all need to stop y'all need to pump the brakes on all of that. I'm trying to get peace up in here. That's what I'm trying to do. And so apparently Mossad, and this is all within the documents, they got pissed off at that. They said, don't you dare talk to us like that. And so that's when you have this whole operation take place where it's not just the CIA, it stretches off into the the intelligence community in Italy, the intelligence community in Australia, the intelligence community in the UK. I mean, it goes all over. This was a multi-agency operation. But the centerpiece of it was Israel. And the CIA had a central figure within their organization. His responsibility was to process everything at all. He was like the eyes and the ears for Mossad within the CIA at that time. And so so if you wanted to, so Mossad, if they wanted to know anything that was going on with the CIA, he was their guy. And then vice versa, he was the guy. So you had this guy that was deeply involved with Mossad and with the CIA. And he was passing this information along back and forth, back and forth. So yeah, Israel was deeply involved in this thing. The documents are very clear, and they show that. I mean, you can't get any clearer than that. There was there's some things I don't even want to read out loud because, you know, I know they'll find some way to say, let me flag tag it. You know, you can't say that. You know, but it was, yeah, it was there. Now here's some other things in the document as well that I'll highlight. JFK, according to one of the pages, they're saying that he called Joe Biden a traitor. I'm not too sure about that because the datings was a little bit off on that one. You know, some people, you know, so they're saying that. I'm not too sure about that. Okay. Let's see. Gary Underhill. Yeah. We already covered all of this. Let me see what else. I just want to make sure I got I'm covering this. Yeah, here we go. So I'm just going to read this here. His name was James Angleton. That's the center guy that I said that was had ties to Mossad and all of that. James Angleton, serving as the CIA's liaison to Mossad and Shin Bet, played a key role in covering up Israel's illegal Dimona nuclear weapons program. Now, y'all who follow this platform, you know we did a couple of videos on Dimona, didn't we? Didn't we do a couple of videos in Dimona? Well, guess who lives in Dimona now? Guess who lives in Dimona? Black Hebrew Israelites. Yep, they call that their promised land. They literally live in the same town where there is a nuclear weapons plant. And that's their promised land. But anyway, you see how all this comes together. Anyway, let's move on. Nuclear weapons program, which was facilitated using stolen American uranium through the NUMEC or uranium enrichment firm, founded in 1957. Let me bring this up on the screen here. Founded in 1957 by Jewish industrialist Zalman Shapiro, processed uranium for the U.S. Navy and is alleged to have smuggled materials into Israel for the development of nuclear weapons starting in 1961. Months before his assassination, Kennedy wrote a strongly worded letter to Israel Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion, demanding international inspections of the Dimona reactor. This followed Kennedy's 1961 directive for American inspections to verify that Israel was not developing nuclear weapons. However, Israel staged a fake control rooms and dummy installations to conceal its efforts from the American scrutiny. After Kennedy's assassination, President LBJ allowed Israel to covertly pursue nuclear weapons by halting investigations into the Dimona reactor. To this day, Israel refuses to acknowledge its nuclear arsenal and will not sign the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. So yeah, so there was a lot of that was in this video here. There was, or not in the video, in the documents. Now, let me go back a little bit. We're almost finished here, by the way. Let me go back here a little bit. You remember earlier in the broadcast, I was saying that, you know, you have people who are, you know, who just, they put out video after video after video talking about, you know, using the Bible and saying that, you know, death and destruction is going to come to America. America's going to be judged. America's going to be brought down and all of that. You know, there's a saying that goes, it says something like misery loves company. And so when you hear people saying stuff like that, you always look at who else is saying that. who else is saying those same things? And I want you to pay attention, and we've played these videos before, but this is coming from another group of people who have been saying this for years and years and years. I want you to take a listen to this.
Uprooted. Therefore, God tells us we should erase their memory and we should eradicate them from the face of the earth. So when a Jew enters into Eretz, into the land of Israel, what should he do? The first thing, appoint a king. Step 2, destroy Amalek. Who is Amalek? Amalek comes from Esav. Esav was a brother to Jacob.
Esav, who in modern day terms is really basically, certainly one of them is America. Esav became Edom, which is a nation. Edom became Rome. Instead of it being Rome, it became Christianity. Christianity, of course, ultimately became Western civilization. So Esav today is really Western civilization.
But the new Rome, United States. But the new Rome.
Esav is Europe, the United States.
The throne of God is incomplete until we destroy Amalek.
Any nation that has that religion can be considered Esav.
The audacity, the chutzpah, to destroy Amalek and to cut off the offsprings of the nation of Amalek. And the Sifri goes on to say...
So you want to say, so when I hear Hebrew Israelites, for example, that are out here that are pushing this message, you are saying the same message that the people that you call fake are saying. They both had the common goal to bring this nation down. That's what they're saying. They're saying it out of their own mouth. Both of them, they sharing it. So you got to pay attention. That's why I said we're in an era right now where you're going to have to start using your brain. You're going to have to start listening. You're going to have to start paying attention for real, for real, for real. There was some other things too, because it wasn't just that. It wasn't, a lot of people, like myself, I was focused, I was very curious about this, the documents that was going to drop. And, it's still a lot of stuff that's coming out of it. But that's the center. That's the gist that was coming out of this. And that is how Israel was intricately involved in this thing. And there's no escaping that. They cannot escape that. Right. But there were some other documents that had been released some time ago by the FBI. If you go to FBI to their vault, their online vault, they're dropping stuff quite often. There are a lot of documents that are coming out that they're making public. All right. These documents, I was one I was aware of. This one I was not. This is the Temple of Set. I saw that the title alone grabbed my attention immediately. And yeah, this was a document that they recently released. And this document is talking about an investigation. This was at the Presidio. The Presidio, that's a military base that's right there in San Francisco, in the Bay Area there. Long story short, this was back in the 80s. And some of y'all may remember this. Some of y'all may remember this story. But basically, there was a whole cult they had running on that base. And in that cult, guess who was being the victims in that? They said over 100 children. This is back in the 80s. And so, of course, if you go through the records and they talk about, basically nobody got arrested, you know how it goes. Once they start investigating and they start seeing who the players were, they was like, oh, snap, let's back all the way up on this one. They said they investigate over 100 children because there was a daycare center on this base and children were impacted by this. It's all coming. I mean, when I tell you, in this document, they just dropped. And when you read the first few pages of it, they're going back thousands of years. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm like, oh my gosh, man, they ain't playing, man. All this stuff is coming out now. So Temple of Set. Then I was curious. I was even more curious. And I did this search before, and I didn't really take the time to go through this document until yesterday. This was another investigation that took place in the 80s as well. It was a group called the Original Black Hebrew Israelites. Maybe I'll do a video just on this one day, but I'll tell you in short, there was a Black Hebrew Israelite group in the Washington, D.C. area, and they were being directed by a Jewish man. I kid you not, who was directing them to go show up at these different places to cause a ruckus and all this other stuff. I'm trying to tell you. For those of you that are clinging on to that, you better know what you're in. You better know what the hell you're in. I'm serious. Because some of these folks, I'm telling you right now, it's paperwork out here on these people. And I'm telling you, some of these folks that you may even listen to are tied up in that world. I'm serious. And so, yeah, if you take the time and go through the document, it's very detailed. It talks about how they were, meeting with them, and they would go to, it was like the prime minister of Israel. I think he was coming to visit, and then they would make sure that the Hebrew Israelites were in position and all this other stuff. And it's really interesting. It's really something interesting read. But there's stuff out there all like that out here. That's just old stuff. But there's things that are happening now that they ain't gonna tell you now, because to them it's still an open investigation. So there's a lot of stuff. Think about all the stuff they ain't telling you. Think about 9/11. Guess who were the key stars in that? The same group. And when we talk about, and we're closing up here now because we're going through quite a lot in this broadcast here. When you look at, we talked about the Kennedy stuff and who were the stars in that one, right? 9/11, who were the stars in that? Same people, right? When you start looking at even with Trump and the conservatives or whatever, they are also very centered around those same people. We're glad to see some of this stuff that's going on right now. Doge is doing this and Doge is doing that and all of that. I'm here for it. I'm glad. But listen, one group of people money they ain't touching. I think you know who that group is. They ain't touching Israel's money. Now they'll touch Ukrainian money, but they ain't touching them folks' money. They ain't touching their money. Because if the moment he decides to touch that money, then it's all hell. It's all hell gonna break loose at that point. But this is real. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not too lost in the sauce here when we're talking about this stuff, because I'm paying attention, because it's actually both sides of the House, Democrats and Republicans, are both tied into this thing. They both are. If you think it's just Republicans, you better think again. It's Democrats too. They're very much. Do you think think about this whole Palestinian thing? That's really not a hard situation. The same people are on both sides of this thing. They are on both sides. This is what they do. They play on both sides of every major argument, on both sides. You think about it, Hamas was basically created by them. So someone asked me the other day, what do you think about this whole thing about the student, that they kicked out of Columbia University because he was causing a ruckus or whatever? I said, I don't think none of it. He's probably a Mossad. He's probably a Mossad agent himself. So and a lot of the commentators on both sides, they're of that same group. And one day, maybe Candace Owens, she's a very smart individual, but maybe one day she'll get a clue on that. She's close, but she ain't there yet. She's not really there yet. She's very close. Because when I say close, and someone may say, well, Dwayne, well, she's been calling them out too, even at the expense of her own job. Yep, true. But then you went to the Christian side, right? Not realizing that the Christian side is also based on their side. So you got agents on both sides. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, you got Christians out there saying, no, we're the spiritual Israel then. Well, you still playing their side. And they got this whole crisis king. Well, Christ, who was Christ? He was a Jew. So they win on either side. I mean, it don't matter what side they are. This is what they have done throughout much of history. They play out both sides. They do. And so for you, how does that come back to, let's bring it in. This is why this is the era where as individuals, you are going to have to really start challenging yourself. There's certain areas, there's certain things that are very hard to deal with as far as like questioning certain things that you've been told all your life. I know that's hard for some of y'all to do, but you're going to have to do it. And you're going to have to start making some changes. You know, when it comes to how you live your life, the people that you associate with, you're going to have to start making some real changes. You are. But most importantly, you're going to have to start exercising this. You're going to have to start exercising this and not living in a space where you just react to on emotion on everything. You can't be like that. You're going to have to be a person that you hear the information, you process it, you figure, you sort out what's real and what ain't. There's a lot of people out there. Let me say this and I'm done. My daughter pointed this out. I've been telling y'all for a long time, but I have been noticing. I've noticed this for a long time. Now I know they have their different scares out here of, oh, you know, the measles are coming and this or that or whatever. But the one thing I've noticed, but anytime that comes up, you know who I see wearing masks and wearing gloves and all of that? It's older black folks. It's people within this demographic that I'm probably talking to right now that are all masked. Everybody else walking free. It's the older black folks out here that have bought into this fear. My daughter says she went to the gym the other night and she said the woman had a whole mask on, a whole mask, had gloves on, like I think she said almost like the gloves you do dishes with. And she said she sprayed so much stuff on the exercise equipment. She said it was dripping wet. I can't tell you how many times I've seen everybody else just be living their life. But I'm seeing a lot of that generation of black folks that for whatever reason, they have put in that fear in a lot of them. Not all, but there's many that I've noticed, that I've seen that have bought into that. And what I'm telling you is you don't have to buy into that. These people are liars and they want to see you going. But it's platforms like here, on the other hand, we want to see you live and we want to see you live a full life. And that's what we're invested in. And we want to do our part to encourage you to do that and to do it big and to start putting away all the lies, not a lot of them, all of them, because it's time for you to live. It's time for you to live. You understand? It's time for you to live. And you can't do that riding two train tracks because there's two different trains. This train is about the truth. We're heading to a destination called truth. That's where we're heading. We're not on the train that's taking you somewhere else. Okay, we're about truth. We may make some mistakes and like, oh, we thought it was this. Okay, but our destination is the same. And we all should be on that train. You understand? And that's what it should be about. But if you listening to people like, oh, Lord, look at that. You don't want to do that. You don't want to surround yourself with people like that. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the day. I was going to talk about the spraying and all that's been going on, you know, lately and all that. But it does seem like it's easing up. Do me a favor. If you have our email addresses, connect@journeymanandwoman.com. connect@journeymanandwoman.com. Send us a picture. You know, if next time, if you notice them doing some spraying in your neighborhood, in your neck of the woods, I want you to send me a picture. Send us a picture. Because what I want to do is I'll have a video. We're going to do a video where we're going to highlight all of that. You ain't got to attach your name to it, you know, and don't send a picture of your house unless you want to. But send us a picture. When you see the spraying and stuff going on in your neck of the woods, I want you to send a picture, because the goal of this is I want to get as many people as possible paying attention to this. There are a lot of states right now that have bills, including right here in Arizona. They have bills that are moving forward where they are outlawing this stuff, and that's a good thing. So we want to be very engaged in this. That poison they're putting out there, that's something that impacts all of us. And we want to make sure that we're engaged in that, because that needs to be shut down. We're not sitting up here waiting for the trumpet to come in the sky. Right now, I'm trying to get the skies cleared. Okay, how about I focus on that? And we can do that, but we have to be interested enough in those kind of issues, okay? Instead of these stupid boycotts and all of that. No, let's invest in things that we know that we can make a difference, and we can, all right? That's all I have for y'all. You listen, you guys take care. Enjoy the rest of the day, evening, or whenever it is that you're watching this. You guys take care, and I'll see you again soon.